Fern Tree Shondo back in the kitchen, episode 9, honey chipotle salmon with brown rice. Let's jump right into it. Over here I have my Chefman grill. I have 2 fillet of salmon. I have a container of honey. I have my seasonings for my salmon. I have 1 teaspoon of Old Bay seasoning, 1/3 of a teaspoon of garlic pepper, 1 teaspoon of Chipotle seasoning. Over here I have my brown rice. I have my seasonings for my rice. We have 1/3 of a teaspoon of cayenne pepper, 1/3 of a teaspoon of garlic pepper, 1/3 of a teaspoon of Himalayan pink salt, 1 teaspoon of butter. Here I have 1 head of broccoli. I have my green onion and my lemon. And over here I have my olive oil and water. Let's get started. We're gonna cut our vegetables and lemon, and we're gonna season our salmon. I'll start with my head of broccoli. Of course, this head of broccoli, as you can see, it's very easy to cut. You can just basically cut the heads of it off without leaving too much of the stem. So that's the first thing I'm gonna do. And it's a very easy cut. Nothing like fresh broccoli. So you see how easy that was to cut off of the stem? Very quick. Now, essentially, what we're gonna do here is chop our broccoli and get it into small pieces. So I'm just gonna quickly chop. You see how it begins to break off into the smaller, fine pieces, which is definitely what we want. Today's dish is going to be very, very great. It's going to be tasty. It's nutritious. You definitely are going to love this one. So we're getting our broccoli chopped here. Again, it's pretty quick to work with. Very easy to cut. Just got to work your knife. You know, broccoli is one of my favorites anyway. So it's definitely something that I love on a lot of different dishes. It's good for almost everything that you want to do as a side dish. I mean, you could use broccoli if you're big on green vegetables. Get it chopped up here. So we got our broccoli chopped. I'm gonna rinse my knife really quick. And now we're going to move to our green onions. And you know, these are very easy to chop. These green onions are very tasty, very flavorful. I would suggest you use them in salads. You can use them in rice like I'm going to do today. You can use them with tacos. I mean, there's a lot of different things you can do with these. They're really great cooking vegetables because this type of onion, you can chop it in a way where it's very easy to cook with it. A lot of chefs use it. And the odor is great too. The aroma that these onions give you are great. They're not as strong as red onions, And like I said, they're very easy to cook with because they complement what you're cooking. So that's what makes them so good. And you can chop them as fine as you'd like. I want to get them chopped a little bit finer. So we got our green onions chopped and ready. I'll rinse my knife again. Now we're going to cut our lemon. So I'll just go ahead and half the lemon. And I'm only going to use like a fourth of this lemon. So I'll set this part to the side. And I'll set this fourth to the side too. And you know, of course, there's some seeds in lemons. I'm going to go ahead and get the seed out. Today I'm going to do a couple of different things with my lemon. So it's going to be pretty interesting. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to peel this so I can get the actual fruit part of the lemon out. We're going to do a couple of different things with that. Still got a couple of seeds in there too. So I'll take that out. And let me chop this too. I'm going to chop this in half. Chop this section in half for what I'm about to use it for today. Some more seeds there. So there we go. We got our lemon pieces ready. I'll rinse my knife again. Be right back. Now we're going to work with our salmon. So let me push my cutting board up and bring my salmon over. So we're going to go ahead and season this salmon. Now the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my olive oil and I'm going to basically put a few dabs on my glove. I'm going to rub in. Now I'm going to pick up my first fillet and just gently rub that olive oil onto the surface. And what this is going to do is this is going to allow the seasoning to really stick and get into the meat. I'm going to pick up my second fillet, do a little rub of it, get that oil on the surface. It makes it really easy for your seasonings to soak in when you do that. So let me rinse my hands off really quick. I'll be right back. So now we're ready to go ahead and put our seasonings on. The first seasoning I'm going to put on here, of course, is my Old Bay. And anybody that's been watching my show, if you're a subscriber, you've been watching all these episodes, you know how I am about that Old Bay seasoning. I believe it's my favorite. I mean, it's definitely the chef's seasoning of choice when it comes to seafood. And it works well. It works very well on salmon, shrimp, and really any type of seafood you want to cook. You see how I'm just basting it in with my spoon? And I'm basically putting it on one side, but you know, I'm gonna get it on all sides when I rub it, so it's not gonna be an issue. So we got that taken care of. Now I'm gonna flip. You see, the key to this is the way we're doing it. We're gonna get all the seasoning all over it. So now I'm gonna go with my garlic pepper. Getting that on this side. I'm gonna just rub in with my spoon. Get it in. Now, I got my Chipotle seasoning here. Whole teaspoon. I'm gonna shake. Just lightly get it on this side. I still got a little over a half teaspoon left. Now I'm gonna rub my glove. Now I'm gonna rub the surface, get some of that Chipotle seasoning in there. I'm gonna turn it over on the side that has the Old Bay on it. I'm gonna rub a little to get a little bit of that Old Bay going on this side of the meat. Then we're gonna go ahead and put Chipotle seasoning on this side. And just spread it. Try to get it as evenly as you can. But you're gonna really rub it in more than anything else. So I'll take the spoon and just kind of rub across a little bit more seasoning. Now we're gonna do these one by one. I'm just gonna caress it just like that. If when you rub, you're just rubbing it in, and you really want to kind of caress on the sides and on the top so you can get that seasoning in there. You know, that's how you do it. And it's gonna soak in. You see how it's soaking in? And what you do is when you're turning it in your hand, the gloves are actually allowing you to get seasoning on all sides. So that's why I said it's gonna get throughout the salmon fillets once you begin to rub. And the meat is tender, so it's gonna soak in good, especially with that olive oil on the surface. It allows it to get deep inside of the fillets. Now I'll take my second one and we'll begin to rub and caress and turn. And I mean, that mixture of seasoning smells great. I mean, it's like, telling you. Like I said, if you had a scratch and sniff app on your cell phone, you know, yeah, you'd be working with something right now. Because there's an aroma coming off. And that Chipotle seasoning mixed with that Old Bay, and then you got that little touch of garlic pepper in there too. Woo! I'm loving that. You just got to work it. You got to work with it. Make sure you're getting it in there. And you can tell that it's soaking in because you can tell that the fillets are starting to get a little bit more red. You're getting that, you know, all of that seasoning is starting to soak in there. And that's how you rub your fillets. Get everything in like you want it. You know, the more you rub them, you know, you can tell they're getting even more tender, which is gonna allow it to really cook evenly. You know, the seasoning is gonna cook into the fillets evenly. So you don't have to worry about that at all. So I got my fillets ready, they're seasoned. I'm gonna go ahead and wash my hands again. Be right back. Now I'm gonna move my fillets over closer to the grill area. And I'll take my vegetables and my lemon, set it right here. Now we're ready to get the rice going. let's get prepared to cook. Now over here, I got my olive oil. Have a piece of paper here. I'm gonna dab some olive oil on my paper, and I'm going to grease my pan. And this is definitely a good thing to do because it helps stop the rice from sticking, and it gives you really good heating consistency too, so it won't take as long to cook. I'm also going to grease my grill. So I'll just wipe the oil across the grill, and that's going to prevent the meat from sticking. It also is going to definitely help the consistency of cooking, good distribution of heat onto the fillets. So now we're ready to get started with all of this. I'm gonna take my rice, put it into my pan here. And this is 6 ounces of brown rice. The next thing we're gonna do is take a whole glass of water, pour it in. Then we're gonna turn our stove on. We'll turn this back out on. And I'm gonna set it at 8 because I really want it to heat up really fast, and I'll adjust the temperature as we go. I'll wait until that starts to simmer and get boiling a little bit before I put my seasonings and my butter in. Now we're gonna go ahead and turn our Chefman grill on. I'm gonna go ahead and set it at medium high just to get it heated up really good. And I'm gonna kind of give it a minute just to get heated before I put my fillets on. Now while I'm waiting on the Chefman to heat, I'm gonna pull my tray. Now with this type of Chefman grill, it actually has a drip pan and you have to put water in it. You've seen me use this grill before on a previous episode, and I showed you how it worked. I'm gonna show you how it works again. So I've already put 1 glass of water in the drip pan. It actually helps the grill to steam, and it helps your meat to cook a little quicker, and it also helps to stop the meat from sticking. So it's definitely the type of grill that I would suggest that you get if you do a lot of at-home cooking in the house and you like to grill. This is a perfect grill for you. I'm gonna go ahead and pour some more water in the tray. Let me pour a little bit more in there. I'll put the whole glass in. And it definitely helps your cooking time. It's a great grill. So it's starting to heat up. I'm gonna go ahead and put my fillets on. And those are gonna cook really well. They're gonna cook pretty evenly. Of course, you know, we're gonna flip them at some point. And you have to really gauge your cooking time. With salmon fillets, it's probably gonna be a good idea to maybe let them set on here for maybe somewhere between 3 to 5 minutes before you flip it, and then let that side cook for another 3 to 5 minutes, and they should be done. So at most you're looking at somewhere between maybe 6 to 10 minutes of cooking time, especially on medium high. I'm gonna probably tweak the settings a little bit as we go just to get an even consistency of cooking, so you'll see how it works out as we go. my rice is starting to get to the point where it's beginning to come to a steam a little bit of a simmer working here. You can tell that that aisle is getting kind of hot now. So I'm about to start working with that rice. I'm gonna rinse my hands real quick and come back and work this rice. So first thing we're gonna do is put my butter in my rice. So all you have to really do is just take that teaspoon, put it in. You know that water's hot now, so it's not gonna take long at all for that butter to kind of slide off of that spoon. And you wanna just make sure you stir a little bit, get it integrated into the rice. And that butter really helps the texture of the rice after you are finished cooking. You know, anybody that cooks rice, I'm gonna say that the butter is really an important part of that. You know, it's up to you how much you want to put in. I feel like a teaspoon of butter is really good for this amount of rice that I'm using, 6 ounces. Now I'm gonna go ahead and adjust my aisle. I'm gonna turn it down to 5 because we're kind of getting at that point where it's starting to boil. But you don't want to cook it too fast. You want to kind of get it boiling, but then you want to trickle down to a simmer. First seasoning we're gonna put in Himalayan pink salt. Go ahead and drop that in there. And I'm gonna try to evenly spread it, but of course, you know you're gonna stir anyway, and that's gonna give you the even spread. So after I put each one of these seasonings in, you notice how I'm gonna stir before I put the next one in. That's very important. That's very important. Allow each seasoning to get integrated into your rice before you put the other one in. That's definitely a good rule of thumb when you're cooking. Now we're gonna go with our garlic pepper. Get that in the mix. That's gonna give you that aroma as it starts to simmer. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that aroma's coming off. It's coming off in a major way. The salmon is starting to get the grill marks on it. I can look at it and tell that it's kind of getting cooked on that bottom side like we want it. It's been on for really probably almost 3 minutes at this point. Okay, so now we're gonna go ahead and drop that cayenne pepper. Yeah. A little cayenne pepper in your rice, you know what I'm saying? There we go. You see how, you notice how I put those seasonings in there before I drop these vegetables in? That's very important. Because what you really want to do is you want to allow your rice to soak in the seasoning. The vegetables, I mean, once you drop those in there, it's a win-win. It's a no-brainer. You know, they going to soak it in anyways. And then you got the onions too. Man, that's all I can tell you. So now, couple things. Let's get these vegetables in here. And the way we're gonna do this, I'll use my spoon. That's gonna get it in there a little more evenly. I'm gonna drop that broccoli in. Get that chopped broccoli in there. You know, Fern Tree Shondo gotta do it. Because if I don't, who else will? Now we got our green onions. I'm gonna go ahead and drop those in here. Get that in the mix right now. Make sure I get most of that in there. There we go. Turn that around. Now we're gonna go ahead and stir. We gotta make sure that because the rice is now starting to really soak in that water and it's soaking in all of that seasoning. So now we're getting our chopped broccoli and green onions in there. And that's gonna bring out the aroma. It's gonna add to the flavor. That seasoning's gonna soak in to the broccoli. The onions are also gonna complement the seasonings. And that's coming together right now as we look at it. It's working. And you know I'm still keeping an eye on that salmon. It's about time for me to flip it over. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna go ahead and turn my rice down a little bit. I'm gonna turn the aisle down to 3. Because at this point, it's gonna become a simmer that we're gonna have here. You know what I mean? So that's what we're doing. Now as that rice is simmering, because we basically want it to be at a simmer at this point. That's why I set that aisle to 3. Now we're gonna go ahead and flip our salmon fillets. Flip that over. Ooh, that's nice. Look at that on the back side there. See how it's starting to brown out? That's what you want. Because see, that what that means is that Chipotle seasoning done cooked in. You know what I mean? It's cooked in. So now we're going to go ahead, flip this fillet. Same thing. You can see that Chipotle and that Old Bay. It done cooked in. That's what you want. You want that cooked in effect. So what we're gonna do with that is now we're gonna let this cook on that side that is on now for about 3 to 5 minutes. You know what I mean? And it's coming together. It's coming together really nicely. So we still got our rice at a simmer right now. We're gonna go ahead and put our spoon back in there. Stir it up. And you can see that water is really starting to simmer out now. What it's doing is basically the rice is soaking that water in and the rice now becomes tender like you want it. The broccoli is also soaking it in and the onions are coming off really perfectly. I can smell the aroma as it comes off, along with those seasonings that we put in. And the key is you just want to make sure right now that everything is just simmering. It's just simmering. And you can tell based on that steam, that smoke coming off, that's that simmer that you want. Now the thing we're going to do with the salmon here is I'm going to go ahead and press it down just a little bit. Because what I want to do is make sure that it cooks through. And now that it's been probably about 2.5 to 3 minutes since we've had it flipped, you want to press just a little bit just so we can make sure it's cooking through. Now what I'm going to do now is kind of check it. I just want to check to see what it looks like on this side here. You see that? It's getting there, but it's not quite there yet, but it ain't far from it. And I know this one is basically looks the same. Yeah, that's a good looking fillet right there. You know? So we'll put that back down. What we're gonna do now is come down on the temperature a little bit on my chef mitt. We're gonna go ahead and drop that thing down to 1 notch below medium. And you can kind of touch on the fillets, just kind of see where they're at. You want to make sure that that middle part is getting cooked. And you want to make sure you don't overcook it. See, that's the thing. You got to make sure you're monitoring it, checking it. Make sure you're not overcooking. So, we not far from being done here. You already know that. Well, actually, you already know it's still a couple of moves that got to be made. You know what I mean? So, but we still not far from being done. That's what I'm trying to say here. You know, but we got a couple other moves to make in a second. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna make one of those moves now. So you see, I got my lemon, right? So what we're gonna do with that is I'm gonna lightly brush my lemon pieces across the top side of the salmon here. And what that's gonna do is give me a little bit of flavor kick that's gonna go with that seasoning that's on there. It's gonna bring that chipotle out a little bit. And once I flip it over, we're gonna go ahead and do the same thing on the other side. Let me go ahead and take another look at it, see where we're at. Yeah, we kind of there almost. Now this is the other thing I'll tell you too. It's actually a good idea to let it cook just a little bit on the edge. And I'm gonna do that too. Let me go ahead and turn that like this and see if I can get it to stay. And let that cook on the edges a little bit on the sides, you know what I mean? Because see, that's gonna help it cook in the middle. So you know you got everything done within that. And I gotta keep checking on my rice too while I'm at it. You know, it's still simmering. I'm about to drop that temperature again. Go ahead and stir. You still got a good simmer working over here with this rice. We're gonna drop that temperature down now. Drop it on down to 2. And continue to let it simmer. But you still want to make sure you kind of stirring it to the point where you still got water in there, you know. So that's your simmer. That's what gives you your simmer. And that's how you know where you at when you're cooking it. And you keep stirring, because that way you get the consistency with that water that's still left. It's going to keep soaking in and keep cooking and making everything tender like you want it. Okay, now let's work with this salmon again. I got to turn it on the sides again on the other side. So we're going to flip it. You see how now, yeah, we working with something now. See how that's coming together on that side now? But now we're going to go ahead, make sure we got that grill on the side piece grilling like we want. And that's helping it. It helps to cook it like that, to get that middle part cooked like I said. Because at the end of the day, what you want is you want it to be medium tender. Which basically means it's going to be well done now. We ain't talking about medium well. We talking about medium tender. Where it's right there on the edge of being tender, but you still got it where you know it's cooked. It's cooked, you know what I'm saying? That's very important. Okay, so there we go. So now we're gonna run our lemon over these sides of the salmon fillets. Got that lemon working right here, man. And you can squeeze a little bit too while you're rubbing it over. That's going to give you even more flavor kick with that chipotle. Now our rice is almost done. So I'm going to go ahead and rinse my hands off again. I'll be right back. Now I'm going to go ahead and stir my rice a little bit more here. See how you got it? It's moist right now. It's tender. That's how I like mine, you know what I mean? That's what you want. That brown rice going with that broccoli and green onions. It's gonna complement my honey chipotle salmon. All right, so now our rice is done. So we can go ahead. I'm gonna put it on low right now just so it can still simmer just a little bit. So it can still be hot when I get ready to eat it. My salmon is doing well. I mean, it's just basically just in chill mode right now. Now we're gonna turn this over one more time here just to get that last cook on that other side that I just put that lemon on. You see how it's ready. It's basically ready, to be honest. I'm gonna go ahead and drop it on low and just let it kind of sit for just a few more seconds here. Let me go ahead and grab my plate so I can get ready to go with it. Got my plate, got my fork. It's almost that time. So let me go ahead and move some things around here. Get ready to get everything ready, you know what I mean? Now you still sitting here looking at it and you saying, man, you still got that honey sitting right there. What you gonna do? You know what I'm saying? What you gonna do? I'm gonna show you, just give me a second. You know what I'm saying? Now, we'll go ahead and turn our rice off. And we're gonna go ahead and turn our Chefman grill off because that salmon is ready, man. It's ready to rock and roll. You can see it clear as day. It's ready. So this is what we're gonna do. I'm gonna go ahead, sit my fork right here. Let me go ahead and plate this thing up for you. We're gonna get that piece that's right here on the edge. Let me pull it on off real quick. There we go. Go on and plate that up. See that thing? Let me turn it around. Let you take a good look at it. That's that honey. That's that honey chipotle salmon. Now I know you're saying, wait a minute, man, you ain't put the honey on there yet. I got you. Just give me a second. You know what I'm saying? Give me a second here. Now we gotta get this rice working now. I gotta get that rice on there. That's that brown rice with that broccoli and green onion. Plate that thing up, man. You see it? Can you smell it? That's the question I got. You got the scratch and sniff app on your cell phone. You got it. Because if you do, you see that? Look at that steam coming off of there. But like I say, we ain't finished now. We really not. Because I got that honey. And the way I'm going to work with that is, I'm going to just go ahead. This is real honey. This is that raw honey right here. I'm going to go ahead and work with it. See, it's better to put it on there after you put it on the plate. That's your best option. Because you don't want to put it on there while it's on the grill. Put it on there when you plate it. Go ahead. That's that real honey right there, man. You see how thick that is? See, that's how you do it right there. And that aroma that's coming off is crazy. It's just, whoo, man. You can see it, but can you smell it? That's the question I got. You can see it, but can you smell it? You see that? Whoo, man. You see that coming off of there? I mean, yeah, I believe you do. You see it. Wish you could smell it, but you can. Because I done gave you the recipe. So you can. Look at that honey. You see how I'm working it? Now you know what time it is, right? You know. Now wait for it. Lemons. Squeeze. Oh, you got that. Wait for it. close up. Honey Chipotle salmon. You got that brown rice with that broccoli and green onion. Oh, oh, oh. Mm. Mm-hmm. It make you run off. It make you run off on them like you just run with this. You know what I'm saying? You running. Episode 9. Honey Chipotle salmon with brown rice. Mm-hmm.